Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Coffee with the Critters, where we live stream usually at 9:30 every morning, right, Lalainya? It's okay, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Um, this is a unique episode. We haven't done this before, what I'm getting ready to show. So we had to work through some kinks. So thanks for bearing with me. For those that are new, my name is Laura Joseph, owner of the Animal Behavior Center. We are an international educational center where we live stream our services to people all over the world that care for and want to empower animals. Good morning, Iris. Good morning, Daniela. Good morning, everybody, and thanks for uh, waiting through this with us. Lalainya and I have been on here for the past 25 minutes trying to get this link to work. She is out somewhat in the country, and she's on her iPhone, so we had to work through some small kinks. Good morning, Beth. Good morning, Kyle. Good morning, Courtney, Ray, Shannon, Tim. So for those of you that may be new, my name is Laura Joseph, owner of the Animal Behavior Center. I think I already said that. And since we're getting a late start, I am just going to probably cut right to the live stream. But before I do, I just want to let you know we are getting a lot of people asking about our upcoming workshop. It is going to be scheduled this week. Okay, I had to work through some things here, make sure it was a go, and we will post that date this week. We're going to first offer it to people who are in our memberships and projects. And then if there's still spots available, we will open it up to the public. So we're really excited about that. It's going to be understanding applied behavior analysis through working with birds. So if you really want to fine tune your training technique, train animals that you're not familiar with, use the applications, apply them, and you'll see what happens, and you'll find out why I love birds so much. But I don't just limit my work to birds. Okay, I was going to show some pictures of some things, but let's go ahead and bring Lalainya on. Let's see, let me find her. And then we're going to have, where'd you go, Lalainya? Oh, there you are. Okay, I'm bringing her
Not again.
on. Okay, and there she is.
Hello.
So good morning, Lalainya. Thanks for bearing with us. This is not your fault. Not at all. Okay, so we've got a lot of people on here who have patiently been waiting. Good morning, Debbie. Good morning, Ron. Good morning, Deanne, Rachel. So Lalainya, before we get started, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your history? I know I've met you a couple of times.
Yeah, so I was a teacher in public schools in Chicago, and I wanted a bit of a career change. So I went back to school, Master of Arts in Biology, and started working at a nature museum. And that's how I met Jason Creon, who kind of turned me on to birds. And through that, was really interested in training. And so I'm back in Ohio, my home state, and I'm teaching again. But I need to be around animals, so I'm volunteering here at Glen Helen Raptor Center to get my raptor fix.
Good. So, Glen Helen, I'm pretty sure I've been there before. I know you and I talked about this before. Um, and so, do you want to tell us a little bit about, give us an introduction of your work there at the Glen Helen Raptor Center? I think I've got their website up here correctly. I'll show that as well.
Okay, yeah, so Glen Helen is in Yellow Springs. The Glen Helen Association has different parts. So the Raptor Center is one part of it. There's a nature preserve. And here at the Raptor Center, there are two things they do. One is education, and that's I'm here with the display birds. And the other part is rehabilitation. So they rehabilitate birds to release them after they've healed. And we have about 25 birds out here in the mews for display, and some are love trained and are used in programs.
Great, great. Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So, like I said, this is the first time, this was a unique idea that we do this together. And I want to thank everybody at Glen Helen Raptor Center for letting this happen. Do you want to talk about the birds you're going to show?
Sure. So there are two birds in the mews that I'm in front of right now, Cedar and Eileen. And so when I started volunteering here, one of the tasks I was given was to hang out in here. And at that time, Eileen, who is a red-shouldered hawk, wasn't in here. She's been glove trained and everything, but Cedar had been glove trained. They hadn't practiced with Cedar for quite a while, and they just wanted me to sort of desensitize Cedar. So I started just hanging out, and Cedar is a broad-winged hawk. And Laura, I've got another technical issue. I'm so sorry. I've got like 1% battery left.
Oh, that's not going to
It
last
was
very
full
long.
when I started. Yeah. What do you think? I can go inside and
Let's
plug
do
it up for a
this.
few minutes.
Let's go ahead and continue the live stream. If we
Okay.
lose you, let's do this. If
Okay.
we have time, let's do this next weekend.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay. So yeah, so that's what I've been doing. And I usually spend about 40 minutes to an hour in here. And there's another bird, a Cooper's hawk, and there is a sharp-shinned hawk, and they are stereotypically nervous birds. So there have been some challenges in just getting them habituated to me being in there. I feel like I've made some progress with the cedar. I was inspired by one of your Coffee with the Critters, where you described giving birds a prey a choice depending on where they are, which perch. And so I tried to do that, and I feel like I was making a little progress. So yeah, I'm kind of looking for next steps.
Okay. Okay. Now, I know when I first start working with raptors, and I've discussed this with Laura Zitzelberger, the former director at Nature's Nursery, one of the hardest animals and challenges I have ever worked with, and people know I work with a lot of different species of animals, from alligators, giraffes, raptors. One of the biggest challenges are injured raptors that come
Mm-hmm.
in, and you now need to work with them for education. So if they can't be released, one of the options is to make them ambassadors of their species and educate the public about them. These animals were hatched in the wild, and their natural behavior is to stay as far away from humans as possible. Now they're in enclosures, and here we are taking care of them.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the first things I do is sit back and observe, watch the bird, watch what it goes towards, watch what it's looking at, watching what it stays away from, and it's usually me. And I need to get closer to this bird. So sometimes I have had to work at the point where I'm working at such a distance, okay? And then I just peek my head in, fridge, throw a piece of food, remove myself. And the importance is add the positive reinforcer, and just as important if you're working with a fearful raptor is remove yourself immediately. Now there's different ways to approach. You have to have reinforcers to give the bird. You
Mm-hmm.
have to, or it's just going to take you twice as long.
Mm-hmm.
So I know there's different ways to gather reinforcers, and some of those, when I first start, and you can do this, Lalainya, is ask the keepers what they're feeding, how it varies through the week, whether that's rats, mice, and be specific. Um, how big of mice? How
Mm-hmm.
much does the mouse weigh? And then you watch the raptor and watch, if you can watch it, if the raptor will allow you, watch what it eats first. Obviously, if people are watching this live stream, they're interested in training raptors or they're interested in raptors, and you have to feed what they eat. So a lot of times when I watch a raptor, if you're working with a raptor and it's too nervous, it will not eat in front of you. What I'll do is weigh that rat or weigh that mouse before it goes in. How many mice? What size are they? Stick them in there, take a picture, jot down the weight, leave, come back at the end of the day, or if you can, see how fast they eat that. Come back at the end of the day and you can weigh what you pull out so you get an idea of how many grams of food they're eating. You can also, I'm looking for specifics. So I'm like, did they eat the head? Did they eat the chest meat? And a lot of them will leave a lot of the fur and rip out the intestines. So then I document that and I keep a journal. We have a journal in here with every raptor we're training, and it's 3 large mice in. Total weight was 67 grams. End of day, pulled 20 grams out. And then we'll write down there, chest meat is gone, head is gone. So what that's doing is it's telling you that's what the raptor is eating first. That's how you start documenting primary reinforcers, positive reinforcers. So with a lot of owls, when I'm training owls, it's off with the head first. That's what they eat first. So a lot of times when I'm training, I cut the head off, and this is usually a couple weeks into the training, and they can get the body throughout the day. And then I walk in at the end of the day with all the heads, and I know that's what they like to eat first. So that's what they get when I start training them. Something else I do in Lalainya, this is something, I mean, I would ask Glen Helen if you can do this. If they already keep a journal of what goes in, what comes out.
They do.
Okay, good. I also document in that journal pellet. I found a pellet on Tuesday morning. Because a lot of times you'll see when you're training raptors, you know they're hungry, but they're not eating. And a lot of times they won't start eating until they cough up that pellet. That's why I need to know if pellets are coming out. So when I get to that point, I will sit there and document every single day for 2 to 3 weeks how much food they're eating. And then I can take an average over that 2 to 3 weeks. They're eating 55 grams of food a day. They're eating 87 grams of food a day. And then that's what I start working with. And if they're eating the head first, if I have to leave food behind, I'll leave the parts that they don't prefer while I'm cutting off all the parts they do prefer. And that is in my pocket. Well, not really in my pocket, but hanging on my side. And then that's what I'm offering. And then I'm pairing it with myself. I will walk in, put a head wherever, like if the bird is perching up high, I try to rearrange the cage before I go in, so I can easily set down that piece of food and boom, beeline out of there. And then what's happening is you're creating a conditioned reinforcer. You are consistently pairing yourself with that head, with that arm, with that chest meat. And I try to never push that raptor past its comfort level. And if I will stay there and do that for as long as I have to, until what I'm looking for is when I go up and put that piece of food in, I'm watching that bird. And birds of prey usually look in the direction they're getting ready to fly away from you. What I watch is, okay, this bird is looking to fly away from me every single time. All right. And I'm trying, and this is where it's tough. You're trying to remove yourself as fast as possible. And then I'll go on to the next raptor and I'll do the same thing down the whole line of raptors. And then, but I'm listening for that raptor's talons to hit that piece of meat. And if I'm 3 mews down, I'm like, boom, that bird is on that piece of meat. And it came down within 3 minutes. Okay. So those are the small things I'm paying attention to. It came down in 3 minutes. I do the same. I'll Once I know it's eaten that food and flown back up, now I'm working with pieces of food that are probably 5 to 10 grams each because I need that repetition, repetition, repetition. So then as soon as I hear that bird fly back up, I go back down there, boom, put the piece of meat down, walk out, shut the door, start training the next ones. And then I'm listening, boom, how soon do I hear those talons hit that platform? And then I can say, and I'm looking for, okay, now it was only 2 minutes. Next time it's 30 seconds. And when you see, those are the things you pay attention to. So you've gone from 3 minutes to 2 minutes to 30 seconds. As soon as I hear it fly back up, boom, I put another piece in, bam, bird's on it. You are preparing yourself with a positive reinforcer. You are becoming a conditioned reinforcer. And then if I have to, what I'll see is I'll shut the door and you'll start to see the bird on it just like that. And then every single day, I'm moving at that bird's pace. I'm collecting positive reinforcers, pairing it with myself. You'll see the bird start to get on it faster, faster. And you want to try your hardest not to push it past its comfort level.
Mm-hmm.
You'll make mistakes, just buck up and know that it's going to set you a few steps back. But as long as you pair yourself with the most positive, least intrusive, you'll see that bird bounce back fast. Now, that's raptors, not necessarily an owl. Owls are that's exactly what we do. And I'm watching at the end of the day, at the end of that journal, you know, a couple weeks into it, I'll start making 100% of that food is paired with me. Or if I'm not comfortable, what we don't do here is we do not drop weight to get motivation.
Mm-hmm.
You can do much better than that. That is old school. It doesn't need to be done. If I feel the raptor hasn't had enough food, when I end my training sessions at the end of the day, I'll throw a couple of butts in. Okay. And then if sometimes I'm just like, I'll document every single day, bird ate 50 grams today. Next day, bird ate 55 grams. Next day, bird ate 60 grams. And I make sure it doesn't go too many days. But what I'm looking for is that 60 grams, that daily food that you're delivering, getting back up to that average weight that you collected within the 2 to 3 weeks. Make sense? And then pretty
sure
soon what's going to happen, especially with your hawks, pretty soon what's going to happen is you're going to set down the food, shut the door, bam, the bird's on it. And that's when the hair on your arm starts standing up because you're like, we've got this, we've got this. And then pretty soon, because you're just opening the door, setting the food right there so you don't have to walk into the muse, shutting the door. And then what you'll do is you can start staying there instead of leaving. So the bird comes down, grabs the food. What I'm going to look for is I'm going to whip out the next piece of food before that bird can fly away and find a way to get it to them. You can start to put it on cue if you want for the bird to fly back up, because then that communication starts happening where you just gave it the cue, you know it's going to fly up, so start putting it on cue. It flies back up, open the door, sit it right there, bam, birds comes down and get it. And then you get it to the point that before the bird flies away, you're opening up the door, setting it right there, bird eats it before it can fly away, set it right there. And then to the point where then you're handing it to it or feeding it with a piece of tongs if it doesn't like your fingers in that close proximity. Does that make sense?
It does.
And then the next step is put the glove on, start delivering the food with the glove. If that glove has been used in the past with force, you're going to have some desensitization to do to that glove. And I've done it. And then I'm walking up and feeding the bird. This is just, and people may have different ways that they do this. Then I'm feeding the bird the food with the glove. And then, depending on the situation, if the bird's still nervous, then you work on getting yourself in the enclosure, okay? And staying in the enclosure. So you're standing right in front of the hawk, boom, hand it the piece of food, boom, hand it the piece of fooD, and then leave before the hawk or the raptor decides to fly away. Okay. And you'll be like, I can get 3 feedings out of this one, and then I need to move on, come back in an hour, go train the rest of the raptors, come back in an hour, boom, do it again. And then I will start luring the bird. I may take a mouse, set it on my glove, and you can get a piece. You can get a piece right here, or you can get the whole damn thing right here on the glove. And a lot of times what I look for is the bird will go boom and fly off. But if it stays there, then over time, I start reducing that piece that's on the glove to half a mouse, quarter of a mouse, eighth of a mouse, and then it's on the glove, and I'm just sitting there going like this. I just gave you a lot of information in a very short period of time. Does this help you?
It does. It helps a lot. And let me ask you a quick question about the sharp-shinned hawk, who, when I'm in there, every time I move, it flies around. So it has a wing injury, and that's why it can't be released. But, it'll just fly around in circles and then land as far away from me as possible. So with adding food to this mix and me just stepping out, this still could take a while. Any other suggestions to add to a bird that's super nervous like that?
Yeah, and sharp shins and cougars are known for how nervous they are. And like we said yesterday, a lot of people will say, I need you to train a sharp shin or a Cooper's, and people will be like, nope. What was I going to say? What was your question? I'm sorry.
Oh, anything extra or any other advice about the super nervous birds like the sharp-shinned?
What I do when I'm working with any training team is we keep a journal because Lalainya, consistency is key here. So I get to know my other trainers, and I keep a journal and say, so Lindsay went in to work with the owl today, and I'll read what she did. And I get with her before we do this, and we make sure we'll train together to make sure that we are taking the same steps, watching the same behaviors. And then what I'll try to do is I need to get a training team in here so this raptor is being trained every single day, because sometimes I can't be there every single day. So I'd get together with the other trainers first, make sure you're all on in the same place as far as your training, or if you're training something different, such as when I was out at Nature's Nursery, I had a training log and I had a keeper's log. So the keepers would log in and say, what did the owl do today? Oh, it flew up on top of its jump box every time I came in. I rearranged that cage so the keepers aren't actively training, but if that hawk can see, hear, smell, or feel you, you're training it anyways. It's just, what are you doing? So I would pull the water dishes as close to the door as possible. So all the keepers had to do, and if they were feeding on a day that there wasn't training, they would take out 3, 4 mice, whatever. And they would set 2 mice on the platform, pull the water dish out, dump it, fill it, put it back in, put 2 more mice there. So the people are being as least intrusive as possible. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah, that was something I was wondering about because I do a little cleaning, and the rakes, yeah, scare the birds a bit.
Yeah, and I know when I first started working with Willie, the turkey vulture, she was prone to attacking keepers. In my training, I can't have her attacking keepers in between my training sessions. So Willie was very curious. So what we started doing is putting her mice in little boxes. So she had to rip apart the boxes to get to the mice. So what I would do is I would save that enrichment for when the keepers were going in, and I would have them throw her box on the opposite side of the enclosure. They go in, do it, and then her attention is redirected towards the box and off of flying to their heads. Does that help?
That helps a lot. Yeah. So I've
So
got some ideas, and I'll be talking to the director and the intern to see if we can implement some
yeah,
of this.
and if they, I mean, in Lalainya, you can help them by observing food that has gone in, weighing food that has come out, identifying reinforcers such as head is consistently eaten, chest meat is consistently gone, um, medium-sized rats are always left over, mice are gone first. I know I use pinkies for training a lot. Pinkies are usually the first thing to be gone. And if I will set out a rat, a large mouse, a small mouse, two pinkies, and see what disappears first. See what disappears second. And when you start using reinforcers, any food that's left behind is the medium rat and the large mouse. Small mice and pinkies are for training only. You can help your trainers document positive reinforcers. I mean, depending on the animal, we'll cut the food up as small as we have to get as many reps. And then once, like, for example, the owlets here, the only thing we really want her, that we need her to do is crate, scale, glove. Okay? So once we have those three and we have them consistently, like right now, we're starting to add yesterday. Saturdays are busy days for me. So 100% of her mice go into enrichment. So she's foraging and ripping apart boxes to get her food. And she can have an off day of training. Not that she prefers the days of training, but she loves her enrichment as well. Does that help you?
It helps a lot. Yeah, and
Okay.
they keep excellent records here, so I could just go through and have a look at what was left over, what parts, how much. So
Yep.
that'll be a pretty easy task to do.
Yeah, and it will help you be specific about identifying reinforcers. So do you want to show us any of the birds that you're working with?
Sure. So this is the first time using this program. Is there a way I can flip the camera so you can look at the birds better, or
I
I
think
just kind of
so. I haven't
I'm
been to
sorry.
be live on a phone in
This
such a
is
long
a
time. Is
first
there a
time.
little circle arrow anywhere?
I do not see that. So
Okay.
that's why I was asking. Well, I can just kind of, I
Okay.
can go in this one and we can see. Okay, let's see. Here we go. Can you see them? And that is
Will you tip
cedar,
it up a
the
little
broadwing.
bit? Up higher?
Oh, up higher,
No, or just tip the phone up more.
like that.
There we go. Got
Okay,
it.
so that's Eileen, and I'm not. My focus is not on her. She's glove trained, but she's in here with Cedar. She does raise her hackles at me sometimes, but I'm going to walk over here, and that is Cedar, and that
Eh,
doing exactly what I don't want Cedar to do.
yep.
So yeah, so yeah, there we go. And so that was my first task, just desensitizing Cedar. But now I've got some really good advice to start trying and see if we can speed this up. And the goal with Cedar is to
We
glove
can't see the
train.
bird.
Oh, sorry. There we go. There we
Oh,
go.
okay.
So Cedar's a broadwing, the smaller one.
Okay. Are they both glove trained? Did you say?
So yes, but Cedar hasn't been on the glove for a while, and so they want to retrain Cedar so they
Okay.
can Cedar can go on programs.
The one's really interested in you.
Yep, yep. She
They are both very beautiful.
mhm.
Yeah, so
And I've noticed that Cedar, some days I do feed. And when I started, Saturday, I'm here on Saturdays. Saturday was their fast day, so food wasn't part of it at all. Um, and now that they're eating on Saturdays, and after I'm done, hanging out in here and cleaning, I give them the food. And I notice that Cedar does not too long after I leave, goes for the food. So those steps that you suggested, I think will be pretty easy with Cedar.
Yep, and I would document how fast. I would write down how he came down in 20 seconds. I'm just watching him get ready to fly.
Yep. Yeah.
He did pretty good and stayed there pretty long.
Yeah. Well, when I first started, he's learned to tolerate me just, with no food reinforcers over the past few months. Before I couldn't even get that close. So the fact that she stayed there that long, that's been some progress.
And Lalainya, so are you allowed to clean? Are you cleaning their mews?
I do. So with just these 3 mews that I spend time with the birds, and I do clean those, and I give them their food.
Oh, you do?
Yes. So all those steps I think are going to be possible. And I'm here for now just on Saturdays, but I can, see if I can come more frequently, especially during summer when I'm not teaching.
So, and you can, like, just watching these two, you can make note, like, this is the preferred perch. You can also go in there, and I do a lot of desensitization with raptors when I'm cleaning their enclosure. I will take the rake in and start as far away from them as possible, and then I move at the bird's pace. Because whoever is cleaning the mews is also training, knowingly or unknowingly, training these birds. So I will start cleaning as far away as possible. If I have to get down on my hands and knees and pull weeds, I do that. But my primary focus is watching what those birds are doing while I'm in there. How long do they stay on that perch? How close was I able to get?
Yeah, so I've been doing that, lots of observation, and I've seen progress with just getting closer to these, and then the Cooper's hawk as well. It's the sharp shin that just, I move my hand or barely make a sound, and she gets real nervous.
She's gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Lalainya, I'd love to hear if you start implementing this, hear your progress. I mean, this is exactly where I would start.
Excellent. Thank you so
And
much.
you're welcome. And then if you start making progress and you want to come back on for another live stream and you can show how it's going.
I'd love that.
Okay. And I'd love to have you back on.
Wonderful. And now I know this program, we won't have the technical issues next time.
Right. So before we go, Lalainya, if people want to find out more about Glen Helen, is the website glenhelen.org?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
And they can find all parts of Glen Helen on there. This is a wonderful place. It's a beautiful day today. So anyone in the Yellow Springs area, Dayton area, come and visit.
Okay, perfect. Maybe one of these days, now that I know you're down there, I'll come take a visit too.
Oh, yeah. Come down. I've got a house in Kettering. You can stay with me. Welcome.
All right. All right. Sounds good. I know where Kettering is. Okay, well, I will say a few things before we take off, Lalainya. For those of you that watch our weekly live streams, don't forget, pay attention to our upcoming workshops. We're going to have several workshops this year, different topics. You can also take a look at our website, theanimalbehaviorcenter.com, where you will find our raptor training is in level 2. We also have podcasts, which I'm getting ready to record another podcast this week. That is part of your membership. We also have the projects, which are species specific. We also have our referral program for every 5 people that you refer to us that join our memberships. You get a free online consultation. And with that being said, I want to thank everybody who attended, especially Lalainya. It's good
Thank
seeing you.
you.
Keep up the great work, and I hope to see you very soon. And let me know how you do with the information we covered this morning, and maybe we schedule a follow-up.
Sounds good. Thank you. And sorry again about the technical issues.
Don't worry, we still have plenty of people on here that are watching, and they'll watch the replay as well.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks, Lalainya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.